What does the month of April 2025 hold for us, our future, and the future of our amazing planet Earth? Well, friends, if you think the month of March was intense, well, then you better buckle up and hold on tight, friends, because April is going to be both a wild and exciting month, bringing with it this whole new level of consciousness. And actually, we're stepping into the month of April already in this new level of consciousness, where folks are now going to begin to gain more clarity in seeing things when it comes to the truth in the world and the truth in our own personal lives to help us identify these truths and step into our own power and our own truths. At the same time, we're going to see in the month of April the continued breakdown of the old systems, things continuing to collapse as we experience this strong wave of karmic cleansing that's going to wash over us and hit us in the month of April. April's going to be bringing with it, of course, major global shakeups, peace treaties that are sadly going to go bad, another conflict ignition, and many leaders' lives are going to be in grave danger in the month of April. And I'll tell you who, and I'll tell you why. A continuous flare up that we are going to witness with the tectonic plates, which was in my March forecast. And I warned a week before that major earthquakes were going to hit, and they did. Well, these tectonic plate movements are going to continue bringing in even larger earthquakes and even a tsunami event, friends, all while we continue to step into these new paradigms of time and space, where humanity continues to step deeper into our power, both exciting and intense times that lie ahead. Today, friends, I am going to first review the numerology along with the Western astrological alignments for April 2025 so that you can take the best advantage of these incoming energies and alignments along with specific predictions that come from my team of spirit guides and visions for April 2025 and beyond. This is my April forecast and predictions. Before we get started, a big happy birthday goes out to all our April Aries and our late April Taurans. Your birthday happens to be the most powerful day of the year. That is, if you actually know how to utilize the weeks leading up to your birthday and the actual day of your birthday. Very, very powerful, friends, which unfortunately most people do not know how to utilize it. If you have a birthday coming up and you want to take advantage of your birthday, your new astrological new year, be sure to check out my video, Most Powerful Day of the Year. I will leave a link up above and always leave a link down below in the description. And again, once again, happy birthday to all our April Aries and Tauruses. April arrives in this very grounded, very determined energy of the 4 universal month in the realm of numerology. With this, it's going to bring structure, it's going to bring stability, and this soulful transformation because we are still bathing in the 9 universal year for 2025. This month is all about doing the work, friends. Doing the work on yourself, whether it's doing the work emotionally, spiritually, or just practically. But doing the work is always important, and even more important in the month of April, and then why we're bathing in that 4 vibration. After the emotional insights and expressive highs and lows, and especially the highs in March, 3 vibration in the energy of March, the month of April is going to be much different. It's going to call us to become more serious about what it is that we're building in our lives. What is it that you're building? Or what is it that you want to build? Because this is the month to start putting it all together, one brick at a time, friends. And more importantly, what are you willing to release in order to create space for your new foundation? Remember, that 9 vibration for the whole year still helps us to release things. And we need to release things in order to put a new foundation down. These are the things you definitely need to consider why we're in the month of April. And the number 4, that is the architect of reality. It's going to ask us to create order from chaos. And there's definitely enough chaos going on in the world right now. Hopefully not in your own personal lives. But even if there is, remember, chaos, order comes from chaos. Of course, the global elite like to believe that too. So to bring discipline, this is a time to bring discipline to your goals, to your dreams, and to really commit to your daily work, whatever that may be, so that in turn will lead you to this lasting transformation. This is an amazing time for transformation. April comes with this whole entire very sacred opportunity for all of us to basically utilize these energies to help build wisdom. Again, maybe take a class and to build wisdom and not ego, of course. This isn't a time to take shortcuts. Not a time to take shortcuts. Remember, we're still also lingering in that Mercury retrograde energy. It's more of a time to really honor the process and really to take care of your health. Think about this, your health, your home, your finances, and your whole entire inner world, and to do so with intention and integrity. Think about this for a second, friends. 2020 and the big bug and everything that happened was a 4 vibration. And it did come to that. It was a big focus in the beginning of our 4 vibration of 2020 on our health, on our home life, and everything else. And being mindful of our health. It doesn't mean that something's going to happen like what happened in 2020, but it's very possible for you to get sick if you're not being mindful. And I'll go more into that with my predictions later on. You may also find yourself called in to, tie up some loose ends this month, to make peace with your past, because the past is going to come back and smack you in the face if it hasn't already in the end of March, and to finally actually implement whatever changes that you need to implement. Also contemplating on all year. What have you been wanting to do since the beginning of the year? What changes have you wanted to implement that you haven't done yet? Don't be hard on yourself for not doing so. Instead, take the month of April as the month to do so. April is going to ask all of us to really commit to ourselves and to commit to what's real, tangible things that align with our actions, that align with our highest visions. And of course, again, Mercury retrograde is still lingering. So we got to do this with patience, persistence, grace, and know that there could be delays in the first part of April with that retrograde. But that 4 vibration, you'll break right through those delays. No worries. What you build now, what you create now, if aligned, of course, with your true soul and your soul's truth, is going to become a really big, firm foundation for the life that you truly want and are meant to live. This is a time to activate that. And remember, always focus on what you want, not all the things you don't want. And if the things that you don't want do come up this month, especially the first 2 weeks of this month, it's a clear sign of that in which you need to let go of, and that 9 vibration of 2025 will help you to do so. And a little affirmation to help you through the 4 vibration in the month of April. I build with purpose. I release with grace, and I trust the timing of my transformation. Again, your April 4 vibration mantra. I build with purpose, I release with grace, and I trust the timing of my transformation. And may you have an amazing month of transformation. April brings the grounded, disciplined energy of the 4 vibration, asking us all to really get serious about our goals, our responsibilities, and the structures in our lives. In the context of the 9 universal year, which is all about endings, letting go of, and spiritual growth. Big, huge spiritual growth happens in that 9 vibration. April becomes this very sacred time for all of us to really build what truly matters, while at the same time releasing all of that which no longer supports our foundations. Otherwise, if you don't let go of what supports your foundation, eventually that foundation is going to collapse like the tower card and everything's going to come falling down. Don't let that happen. Punch into these energies, plug into these energies, because this month is a month to really roll up your sleeves and start laying the bricks to your future, to your purpose, and to do so with patience and integrity. I have put together a list of the do's and don'ts of the 4 vibration to help you to make the best out of the month of April, and so that you know what you really should be focusing on in April with the 4 vibration, and the things you definitely should not be doing in the month of April in the 4 vibration. The things you definitely want to do that are going to align with the energy of the 4 vibration is first start by creating some structure and creating some stability. Use this month to really get organized, declutter your space. And it's also in the Northern Hemisphere. It's springtime, right? You can still do this in the Southern Hemisphere too, friends. But it's that time of year, like they say, spring cleaning. So use this month to really get organized. Again, declutter your space. Build these practical systems that work for you, work for your goals, and work for your family. Remember, discipline and commitment are your best friends in the month of April. The 4 vibration is all about small steps that lead to very big breakthroughs. So one of the things you want to do is definitely honor the details, whatever those details may be. Do not rush the process, friends. Rushing into things, making, sudden decisions, it's going to backfire on you. Focus on quality. Focus on your process, consistency, and really put your mind into it, friends. Use some thoughtful action. And honor all the little fine details in the month of April, and it'll pay off in the end. Another important do of the 4 vibration is lay a very strong foundation. It's like this month, friends, is where we start building the foundation so we could build the future mansion, the future of your life, which we'll refer to as a mansion. So whether it's your health, whether it's your finances, whether it's your home life, or even your spiritual practices, this is a time to truly invest with what's going to serve your long-term growth. So think sustainability over pushing things and speeding up too quickly. Just sit back, take some time, and lay that very strong foundation. The 4 vibration is always telling us that we definitely need to be responsible and accountable. Show up for whatever commitments you make. If you told somebody you're going to do something, don't let the fear and ego that hang out on your shoulders talk you out of it. You must stick to the commitments. People are watching you, and they're watching your reliability, and whether you may realize it or not. So this is really a time more than anything to earn trusted respect through integrity. So be responsible and take accountability. And hopefully we'll see this play out on the world stage as well. Another thing that can help support you through the 4 vibration that you want to do is to start practicing some grounding rituals. You're going to notice your energy is going to be all over the place. So balance this intensity. Remember the 9 vibration, and the 4 vibration helps us to ground. The 4 is all about grounding energy. One of the 9's got us flying all over the place. So ground yourself. Be present. Walk in nature, organize, go out and play in the garden. That's what I do this time of year. It's my favorite thing to do. And take deep breaths. Do breathing exercises. Go hug a tree. Just practice some grounding rituals on a daily basis, and it'll help your April to flow instead of flying all over the place like a balloon that just popped and it's flying all over the place. That's how your April's going to be if you don't ground your energy. Some of the pitfalls that you definitely want to avoid in the month of April, the do nots of the 4 vibration, starting with do not cut corners, friends. No way. The 4 energy demands diligence and it demands structure. So taking any kind of shortcuts, skipping any steps, or rushing into any responsibilities, they are going to backfire, friends. 100% backfire. So whatever you do in April, don't cut corners. Don't take shortcuts. You don't want to overcommit yourself in April because overcommitting is going to overwhelm you. So you have to say no sometimes. Say no to what doesn't align with your vibration, what doesn't align with your schedule, your time, and your energy. This is all about doing a few things well, not doing everything and anything all at once. It'll just cause more chaos in your life. Do one thing at a time. Multitasking is a jinx. If you're doing 4 things at once, each one of them things is only getting 25% of your energy and focus, which means they're really not getting done quickly. And maybe not as good as they could get done. One thing at a time, focus, and it'll get done quicker, it'll get done well, and then you won't be so overwhelmed. Don't take on too many commitments, friends. Whatever you do, friends, don't resist any necessary endings that may be opening up in your life. Remember, when one door closes, a new door opens up. And with the 9 years still guiding us into this bigger picture of our lives, this isn't a time to cling to what's crumbling. It's like clinging to a crumbling building. Eventually, you're going to slip and fall. If the foundation is weak, then let it fall, friends. We can rebuild something bigger and stronger afterwards. So just do not resist those necessary endings that need to happen in your life. I know this next one may be a little challenging for many of you, especially our water signs, and it may not be your sun sign, but even if it's your moon sign, especially Cancer moons, for example. Carrying that emotional clutter is going to eat you up inside. The number four in the 4 vibration, it wants clarity. It wants order. While we still, again, have that 9 vibration going on, which is all about emotional freedom. So don't let any unresolved emotions or old baggage cloud your pathway or block you from opening up to more joy and happiness. Deal with it, face it, and then move forward. You'll be glad you did. April is certainly a month where you don't want to procrastinate. We do a whole lot of procrastinating, humans do. And there's certain vibrations where it's okay to procrastinate a little bit. But this month is not the month to procrastinate. Avoid procrastination. This month is all about taking action and doing so with consistency. Don't wait for the perfect time to do something. It is the perfect time. Just start, begin, stay on course, and it'll all be perfectly, divinely aligned. Overall, the 4 vibration in the month of April is a chance to turn spiritual lessons into physical realities, whatever they may be. And with the universe now asking us to build our dreams, not to wish, hope, or pray for them. You don't wish, hope, or pray. You get out there, you build your dreams, and release anything that happens to be weakening your foundations and preventing you from building this new dream of yours, whatever that may be. This is the hard work that we do, like in the springtime, gardening and farming, before the big harvest that comes at the end of the season. So trust that whatever you're about to build now is going to sustain you, and it's going to help you with the lessons and the seasons that are to come. And a little affirmation to help you through the month: I am grounded, focused, and building a life of purpose and strength. I release what no longer supports me and step boldly into my highest foundation. Hallelujah. Let us move on. Now let us peer to the stars to see what alignments in April 2025 can assist you in your journey, so you know what to expect, how to take advantage of it, along with what potential global events can be impacted by these global alignments. I want to just rewind first for a moment to a big alignment we had at the very end of March, on March 30th, when we had Neptune entering Aries for the first time since 1861. This alignment is all about major spiritual awakening, bringing about innovative leaders, bold dreamers, and it's really an exciting alignment that took place. This is going to bring about technological alignments, and we have so many different alignments all kicking in, others that haven't happened in a long time. And April's just going to present another month of amazing and interesting and even rare astrological alignments. Starting with April 7th, when we have the Mercury direct in Pisces, along with the Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces, marking off a time of healing through honesty and through commitment. Mercury direct in Pisces, that is going to help clear the fog and the confusion that you have been dealing with over the previous weeks. Have you not noticed your ADD or ADHD or whatever ADDs you may have? Have you swimming around in circles towards the end of March and even in early April? Well, thank the Lord that April 7th, that fog is going to clear, and it will help you, bring you more spiritual insights. It's also going to bring in emotional clarity that's going to help you to really express your words, the words that you were hiding for so long. Top that off with the Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces. This is going to bring in serious heart matters to the service. Serious heart matters, friends. When it comes to your relationships, finances, and all your values are going to have to align with your soul's truth. This transit is going to encourage long-term commitments, friends. Long-term commitments to your healing, deep soul healing, to your creativity, your artistry, and more than anything, your spiritual growth. This is a major year and a major pivotal point, especially marking off on April 7th, of great spiritual awakenings. And you're going to see spirituality take off like never before. Some of the global potential events that could occur when this alignment takes place is some diplomatic reconciliations and Maybe some major peace talks that takes place. I'll go more deeper into those peace talks in my specific predictions, because I do believe that there will be peace talks and there will be a temporary, very temporary period of peace in different areas. Also, the financial structures and the financial markets are definitely going to experience this whole big shift. You're going to see this whole desire coming out from governments or even the banking system of how they want to restructure the monetary system. Of course they do. This has been their plans for a very long time. We can also see some conservative shifts and reconstructing when it comes to many industries, including the health industry and healthcare industries. So this is a great time to focus. We'll see a lot of focus on the oceans, conservation of the oceans. Remember, water is a big influence this year, and water is even an influence with this alignment. More to do with water rights and taking our power back with the power of water. And a lot of spiritual movements are going to grow from this. Water is a big focus. And I just saw that in Utah, hallelujah to you, Utah, for finally banning fluoride in the waters. Well, that's going to be a ripple effect that's going to take place across the planet, friends. Something that needs to happen because fluoride calcifies your thyroid, your pituitary, and your pineal glands. And it's not good for you as much as they like to make you believe it is. It is a toxic chemical. The barrels that hold that fluoride have a crossbone and skulls on it. So not good for us. So this is where water rights and the fight for our water is all going to really start to kick in on April 7th. On April 12th, we have Venus direct in Pisces, and we have the full moon in Libra. Libras, I have a lot of Libra friends. Libras are always in service to others. They're not happy unless they're in a profession that they're in service to others. Most of my Libra friends work in the medical community. This full moon in Libra, it's of course, a heart awakening that's going to take place. And it's all about collective harmony, bringing in some good positive vibes because we're going to need them by the time we get to April 12th. Venus moving direct into Pisces, that's going to lift the veil. When it comes to love, money, and this creativity is going to finally begin to flow for you. This creativity is going to flow forward, and it's going to do so with this nice, fresh understanding. And we're going to see a lot of forgiveness coming into play. Definitely something that needs to take place with the Venus moving direct into Pisces. Remember, that does deal with emotions. All water signs do. The Libra full moon, now that's going to shine and spotlight also on relationships. It's going to spotlight relationships, justice, and this whole sense of balance because Libra is all about the balancing scales of justice, right? So this lunation of this full moon in Libra is going to reveal any imbalances that we see with power, with your partnerships, and with any kind of global diplomacy that's happening. So in turn, some of the potential events that could occur is relationship dynamics actually coming out in the public eye, whether it be celebrities, politicians, business partnerships. They may all go public in the near future, so we have to keep an eye on these relationship dynamics in the public eye. Also, legal matters, which is also in my specific predictions later in this forecast. Legal matters and justice systems are going to see these big turning points, big decisions, maybe even, again, peace agreements. Sadly, I don't feel like those peace agreements are going to last very long, but hey, temporary peace is better than no peace at all. Global movements, when it comes to equality and fairness, are going to rise up. And this is when we're going to see even more people begin to take to the streets, taking their power back. And I said this back in the March forecast, and we saw massive protests taking place all across the globe. We still see them here in the United States, even though they're paid protesters, but regardless, they're still protesting. Well, expect that to rise each month through 2025. The whole protest movements and these new movements going into place are going to increase each and every month. And when we get to the summer months, baby, hold on tight. On April 16th, we have Mercury entering into the sign of Aries, which is all about bold thinking and very blunt truths. And we've seen a lot of blunt truths come through already this year, but wait until this alignment and we step into that energy of Aries and Mercury. Blunt truths, friends. This is when the mental energy is really going to turn sharp, bold, and fast. And it's basically a no-nonsense communication, which we're going to see playing out in the public. And we're going to see, good things come out of this, actually. Very good things. So expect global leaders, influencers, or even the media to really begin to speak out very strongly when we reach this alignment on our April 16th. And this speaking out strongly isn't always going to be for the good, friends. Not always for the good. Some people are going to be speaking out strongly for the worst. Way too much outward speaking when we hit that alignment. And if you think that's happening already, wait until April 16th rolls around, friends. Some other likely events that are most definitely going to take place is some viral statements that people make that they end up probably deleting off the platforms that they post them on. A lot of controversial opinions, so much controversy around people being very opinionated, and these impulsive people being very impulsive, especially when it comes to politics and when it comes to pop culture. Things are going to be fast moving, and there's going to be fast moving developments when it comes to technology, conflict, unfortunately, and leadership announcements. I'll go more into the leadership thing in the specific predictions later on in this broadcast. On April 18th, we have Mars entering into the fiery sign of Leo. And that's when the warrior heart is going to awaken, friends, because Mars in Leo, that ignites courage, leadership, expressive power, and that's when people become much more confident. Sometimes they become much more theatrical as well, and even assertive. So be aware of that during this alignment and watch your own energies and how they're flowing, because this is a powerful manifestation energy that's coming in when Mars enters Leo. If you're building a brand, you're launching a project, or you're stepping into the spotlight, this is your green light, friends. This alignment, Mars entering Leo, is going to give you the fire under your butt to really get it kicking good, and whatever that may be. Remember, very powerful manifesting energy, which we get powerful manifesting energies on new moons all the time. Mars entering Leo, let that fire burn your dreams into reality, and some really likely potential world events that'll take place, and some major political and military displays of strength. Did you see the videos recently of Iran basically flexing their muscle? That's exactly what they were doing. Maybe they got some Mars Leo influences in their astrological charts. But they showed us their underground tunnels with all their missiles and all, acting like they're the only ones that have that. I got news for you. The United States itself has much bigger underground military bases than anybody could ever imagine. But when Mars goes into Leo, that's what's going to happen. You're going to see people wanting to flex their muscles, and you'll probably see China doing some kind of, parade with all their military stuff. You'll probably see it in many countries, getting out there and flexing their muscles to look like they're much badder than they actually are. Interesting. Gotta love when people do that. It's all about being symbolic. So we're going to see a lot of that, and we're going to see a lot of celebrity news and a lot of shifts when it comes to cultural stuff. So when it comes to leaders, or when it comes to even artists, we're going to see a lot of big news around these people. Not all positive news either. This is a time period where some of this celebrity news that we see is celebrities getting, filing for divorce, celebrities, getting caught up in traffic or what have you. Maybe it could even lead to the end of April bringing in some celebrity arrests. Now, we're also going to see a lot more when it comes to education reform and talking about education when this alignment comes in. And we already know here in the United States, the administration did away with the whole education, whatever you call it. They did away with it. So this would make sense that they need to reform education now. And this alignment on April 18th, Mars and Leo, will definitely bring some reformation to the education system and to the younger generations. On April 19th, we have the sun entering the bull-headed sign of Taurus. Stabilizing energy is going to come rolling in, and it's going to help us be a little bit more grounded as well. The energy is going to slow down a little bit. It's going to the energy is going to become a little more steady. We're going to need that because the energy has been off the wall lately, and it's going to become more sensual, more peaceful. This is a time when you can really start to focus on your resources, focus on your stability, Focus on your embodiment. With Taurus season kicking in, we're going to enter this, again, period of manifestation and making things happen. You're going to be focusing on your self-worth. And, it's all about very nature-based healing. Perfect time, again, to get out in the garden, do some gardening, and just flow with the peaceful energies while they last, because they only come in for a short period before the next wave of crazy energies wipe through us. Some potential world events that can start to kick in during Taurus season would be, first, focus on our food, the focus on our agriculture and the whole environment. So we could see much new legislation going into place, especially here in the United States with Robert F. Kennedy taking charge of these areas. We could see new forms of food systems going into place. We can also see a big ban on foods coming soon as that April 19th alignment happens. Bans on different chemicals in foods, which we definitely need here in the States because we have more chemicals in our food that are banned in other countries. Well, that's all going to come to an end really soon, friends. And there's going to be this whole natural healing that comes, and it's going to be quite amazing, including the new ways of growing food and the new forms of agriculture that are going to grow in these times, not just because of this alignment, but many other alignments that are taking place. Of course, financial themes are going to continuously take form. I kept telling you ups and downs all year long, like a roller coaster. And when I'm recording this video on March 30th, the markets are pretty down. A lot. Crypto, all of them are down. And we're going to continue to see those ups and downs, and a lot more downs before we see any ups. So we're also going to likely hear about some banking reforms and some big shifts in our value of our currencies. Many of those shifts are going to be going backwards and not forward. So make sure you get yourself grounded, do some grounded spiritual practices, and get outside and connect with Mother Earth. On April 27th, we have the new moon in the sign of Taurus, which is all about manifesting some real world magic, friends. All new moons are about manifesting, but they're all about manifesting in different ways. This particular new moon on April 27th is a powerful movement to set your intentions when it comes to money, when it comes to love life, relationships, health, and your legacy, if you plan on leaving any type of legacy behind. This new moon is a really grounding energy. It's grounded in earth. Taurus is an earth sign. Tauruses, like Virgos and Capricorns, like to be connected to the earth. So this is going to invite us all to manifest abundance, beauty, sustainability. It's an amazing new moon, something definitely to look forward to. Some events that could take place right around this new moon, besides more movements in tectonic plates that just came to me, actually. More movements in tectonic plates right around the date of April 27th. Put that out there. We're also going to see shifts again in the financial institutions. Global economic policies going into place, and they're going to be pushing in the media, we need more sustainability. We need more sustainability. Yeah, I think they want that more for themselves than they do for the rest of us. And I would tell you by the end of April, expect there to be huge new announcements when it comes to, again, technologies revolved around agriculture, a new form of agricultural farming equipment, and things around our food on a positive note, and even, good positive energies. Maybe it's a time where we can start seeing an ignition of the free energies that they have been suppressing from us for so long. On April 30th, friends, it's passion, power, and fierce desires as the planet Venus leaves the dreamy sign of Pisces and steps into the very bold sign of Aries. And that is when love is definitely going to become more passionate, more spontaneous, and fierce. You got to watch that spontaneity, friends. That can get you in trouble, especially you youngins out there that may be watching and listening. Because in turn, you can expect there to be not only just heightened desires when it comes to passion and relationships and love, but also heightened drama and quick changes in relationships, very quick changes, where somebody starts one and jumps right back out of that relationship. You'll see people shifting in their relationships and moving out of their relationships. So don't jump into anything too quickly, friends. We should all know that by now anyway. Not only that, this energy that's coming in with the Venus entering Aries, the drama that could be connected to people's relationships. Don't involve yourself in other people's relationship, friends. We should all know that one too. But big, quick changes in relationships. Now, this also has this strong vibration, this collective vibration of feminine power becoming more assertive. So some likely world events that we could see take place is women in power, whether they be, leaders or in celebrity circles. You'll see women making some really big, bold moves as we have Venus entering Aries. Public debates. We're going to see much more public debates when it comes to the financial institutions, when it comes to more arguing and fighting over gender, over power and power plays, and even over beauty. So it's going to be really interesting, and there's going to be a lot of rebellion energy coming in at this time. A lot of rebellion energy. So don't be a rebel without a cause. If you're a rebel, at least have a cause. April overall is a master builder month when it comes to numerology, and it's the cosmic architect when it comes to astrology. It teaches us to build with soul, to act with courage, to ground our visions in reality. The themes of healing, bold creation, spiritual evolution, and tangible manifestation all weave together into one truth in the month of April with all these amazing alignments. So if you are brave enough to let go, then you are strong enough to build something way better, friends. Way better. Your April affirmation when it comes to these energies: I honor my truth. I take bold action, and I build a life of beauty, strength, and purpose. I honor my truth, take bold action, and build a life of beauty, strength, and purpose. This is your time, friends. This is your time to root deeply, rise boldly, and shine on, friends. Shine on. Before I move on to some specific predictions and visions from my team of amazing spirit guides of some of the future events that are on our doorsteps, first, I want to welcome you to my channel, back to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT. I welcome you with open air hugs. If you're new here and you want the most accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with our awesome tribe, do smash that subscribe, the bell and all, so you get notifications. And also keep in mind, if you're new here, that every Tuesday I do Tuesday's Tea Time, where we talk about world events, how they may or may not relate to predictions and prophecy, along with new predictions each and every week. And if you don't see me pop up on your feed by Wednesday, go directly to my channel just to ensure, because sometimes you don't get notifications, and I don't know why. And then sometimes people mysteriously become unsubscribed from this channel and other channels too, which is really unfair. Don't know why that happens either, but it does happen. So if you're not seeing me pop up, be sure to check your subscription, come directly to the channel. Also down below, you'll find all the links to my social media, including other platforms like Rumble, Spotify, and my Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit supporters who help make this free content possible for everybody else. Those on Subscribe Star, along with the members of the community below on certain communities, depending on where you're watching this, and all the contributors to this channel, who truly, again, make all this free content possible for everybody else. I truly appreciate you with infinite loving gratitude. And then lastly, sign up for the free newsletter down below and beware of fake accounts. If you get a message on social media, especially on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, that appears to be me, I assure you it is not me. I don't send any private messages through those social media platforms. The only direct contact with me would be directly through my website and my office, josephtittel.com or spiritmanjt.com. You can find all the information out and anything you want to know on my website. Let us move forwards with some specific predictions for April 2025. Once again, welcome to April 2025 and Aries season, friends. Aries in technically the first true month of the year. The first month of the year, because technically there's 13 months in the year. You can look that up for your own research. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, which follows, of course, the equinox, spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, So, Happy New Year, y'all. Happy New Year. We had this one real huge energy wave after another being thrown at us throughout the month of March. I know you all felt it. Having folks literally flowing through all sorts of emotions and really, really looking deeply at our lives. Have you noticed that? And what will truly make you happy? That was all about the 3 vibration of the month of March. 3 is all about searching on what's going to make us happy. We're going to continue to be hit with these energy waves as soon as we step into the month of April, with more major sun flare activity and the borealis lights being seen across the globe. Back in March, I warned of a huge earthquake that was about to hit in coming days and within the next week or 2 at the most. And it was only days later that we saw the massive earthquake, the 7.7, that hit the people in the region of Myanmar, Thailand, and even southern China got hit with that really hard. So not to mention the other large earthquakes that actually followed that. We had the large earthquake in the Mid-Atlantic Basin. We had another one that I just saw. Where was the one I just saw this morning? The Tonga. Another one just went off in the Tonga. A sure sign that things are flaring up and they are going to continue in April. That was in my March forecast. I told you by the end of March, big earthquakes were coming. Well, friends, I have news for you. That's just the start. I feel major earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are going to continue to flare up as we step into the month of April. I recently warned and continued to warn northern Turkey, Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Alaska. And I had a strange experience on the evening of March 28th when I was sitting in my living room. It was late at night too, like 11 o'clock at night. Well, probably 10 because I usually am in bed by 10:30. So I'd say 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on the night of the 28th. And I was sitting in my living room and I just felt this weird shaking and I just kind of looked around. I'm like, I hope we don't get hit with no darn earthquake here in Sedona because the rocks would come rolling off the mountain, maybe into the houses. Don't want that to happen. The next morning, I woke up and discovered that there was a swarm of very rare earthquakes that took place in the Grand Canyon in Arizona. What's really concerning is this just makes me feel that we're just going to see more and more activity even here in the West, not just Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and even Southern California and Southern Utah. Now remember, Spirit told us to watch the sun. 3 flares. Remember, Spirit said 3 flares in a row would trigger a massive quake, which is exactly what happened right before the big massive quake happened in Myanmar. Crazy, friends. And, it appeared to play out. And I feel shakings that are also going to come to Texas, Oklahoma, and Southern California. And if not in April, certainly in the coming months. Another window to watch is going to be the late summer months, June, July, and August. As I said in my predictions for the whole year, the times to look to. March was 1 month to look at, July the next, and even November. But that July, and we're still in doozy of energies. And aside from my strong feelings of feeling incoming plate movements and eruptions for the end of March into April, I also see an awful lot of water events coming in April and even early May. April has this strong tone, friends, of bringing about likely a very large tsunami event, and along with some very serious flooding events, especially in the southern hemisphere, down towards, say, Brazil, Chile, even our friends in Australia, New Zealand. Be aware, major flooding, especially in that southern hemisphere. And many areas of the northern hemisphere are about to experience unusual heat waves in April, leading to droughts, very quickly leading to droughts, especially in parts of southern Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. I see major flooding hitting throughout Australia, floods in parts of New Zealand, and pretty much spread across the globe. United Kingdom, Ireland, both also jump out at me pretty strongly, and then parts of the East Coast here of the United States. And more flooding for our friends down in Texas and the Oklahoma areas. And then Kentucky is going to get flooded again. Spirits just said it to me in my ear. And I see a vision of a huge jet stream coming out of the Pacific and hitting the west coast of the United States, bringing with it this Those large jet streams, friends, brings in tons of flooding, tons of mudslides, and many rescues that are going to take place in the west coast of the United States in April. And we're already witnessing so many tornadoes sweeping across the Midwest of the United States. And sadly, I feel that we're about to witness some of the worst tornado activity this month in April. Interesting enough, when we look at the path of the recent solar eclipse, it passed right through Texas. I just thought that was interesting. In the Midwest, straight up towards Montreal, Canada. Right through Montreal, Canada, actually. So coincidence or chance? I want to know what you think in the comments down below. You be the judge. And remember to always have a go bag or some type of emergency preparation, friends. In these current times, it is much, much wiser to be prepared instead of being scared. I remind you that in April, we vibrate in that 4 vibration of numerology. That same vibration that we sat in during the 2020 bug and lockdowns. So therefore, it is very possible and very likely that we are about to see several concerning outbreaks in viral bugs that are going to cause some concerning infections. There is a really good chance that this is going to come from the help of this 4 vibration. It's just what the 4 vibration does. It really makes us, there is good that comes from it, by the way. There is good that comes out of this. And again, if you look back to 2020 and the bug, good did sort of come out of it. People did look at their lives, because that's what the 4 does, friends. The 4 can really force us to look at all the little fine details of our lives, in turn making major changes as we flow through the halfway point of that 4 vibration. Look what happened back in 2020. After that lockdown, more people made changes than ever before in history. More people moved out of state and out of country than ever in history. More people got separated and divorced than ever in history, and then the rest of them all redid their houses. Most of them anyway. More people made changes than ever. So that's the 4 vibration, a powerful combination. The 4 is going to tell us to be more mindful of our health, of course. Be more mindful of your health like 2020. It didn't mean you were going to get the bug, but you had to be mindful, right? And then the 4 can also unleash diseases, viruses, and even plagues. It's that 4 vibration. It affects people. It can also cause people to pass from illness. And a lot of people do sometimes pass, older people. Like Queen Elizabeth passed in her 4. Can't remember who else. There's a bunch of them. And we will see several concerning outbreaks hitting China once again in April. And then parts of Europe. India just popped in my mind, so maybe that's part of it. And then something coming out of the Congo, which I have said in the recent past. And I had a vision this morning of one area, I'm not clear where, being locked down and basically condemned by government vehicles that looked very much like military vehicles to me. I believe this could be somewhere in Africa, but again, I'm not clear. But it's like they came in and condemned the whole area, like big time, military. And it had to do with a bug of some sort. And we're going to hear more and more about outbreaks from both the creepy blood-sucking ticks and mosquitoes, including some type of something new rising up around either mosquitoes or ticks. I'm going to go likely with mosquitoes. Folks in both mosquito and tick populated areas, I tell you, remain extremely mindful and vigilant, especially as the summer months kick in, because I feel a big infestation of insects coming. Big infestation, and that's coming to me now. Not just in mosquitoes or ticks, but even swarms of locusts, for example. Maybe some biblical-looking insect infestations. So that all comes to me now. So again, be vigilant, especially during the summer months, because I feel something strange is also coming out of Australia when it comes to either outbreaks or some kind of other similar concerns around bugs or what have you, which I do feel will blow over, so no worries, our friends in Australia. And remember, the 4 vibration, that actually helps us to become more mindful of our health, more mindful of outbreaks and diseases so that we can actually get a grip on them and knock them out completely so that we don't have a repeat of that happening again. That's what, especially when we go from the 4 to the 5 vibration. If you don't get it under control in the 4 vibration, you're out of luck by the time you step into the 5. So the 4 is all about mindfulness around your health and around, diseases, outbreaks, and so forth. We may even hear talks of cures. Well, likely we will hear talks of cures when it comes to certain diseases in April. But likely we'll hear talks about these cures, but we won't really likely see them come into reality. Maybe at the earliest the month of May, it's very possible. But I'm going to say more likely in 2026. 2026 is going to be a big year when it comes to cures and health breakthroughs. Those breakthroughs are going to start this year, but 2026 is when we roll out the new stuff, the good stuff, friends. If you have been following me for a few years now, then you will recall the first time in my channeled predictions that Spirit pointed to this period where a large amount of folks were going to exit the Earth realm. Mass amounts, actually. And that was told to me way back in my channeled predictions in October of 2023, when I first mentioned the coming mass exodus was on our doorsteps. And I even did another video in 2024, August of 2024, titled Mass Exodus. And then lastly, of course, it was in my 2025 world predictions. Now I just seem to happen to notice, because you all pointed out to me, that suddenly everybody's talking about mass exodus. I find that to be quite interesting, to say the least. And there were a few folks that thought in the comments, in my comments on one of my videos, that Myanmar was that mass exodus. Yeah, sure, it was definitely a part of it, no doubt about it. And an ending of at least 1,600 or more soul contracts that ended from that earthquake, if you know what I mean. And this is just the start, unfortunately. The start of something much bigger events that are on our doorsteps. This includes a very recent vision I had that aligns with some of my past predictions. I had this vision this morning as well. I had a vision of a huge tsunami, friends. And I saw this vision so clearly, like I was watching a movie. And I saw in my vision, like I was kind of like more off to the side watching. That's usually how I see visions. It's like I'm watching a movie, basically. And I'm standing there, or I'm watching, sitting there watching, or whatever, in this vision, people running from the beach. And I felt a lot of panic. And the size of the wave that I saw in my vision literally looked like something out of an apocalyptic movie. Spirit takes my vision to several coastlines. I see in the distance folks enjoying sunny, beachy day, having a sunny, beachy, happy day. And I see a gentleman, he looks up towards the ocean, and then he sees the big wave in the distance. He's the first one in my vision. He was the first one to notice this. He watches for a moment, like doing a double take, probably, before I see fear in his eyes. And then he runs over to, I guess, his family or people and starts grabbing them and running. And then he yells. And I see other people look at what they're running at, and they all look, and then people start to look, and then panic sets in. I don't know where I am. Again, I'm not really clear where I was. I could tell you that people had a darker tone to their skin, if that has anything to do with anything. But that's what the man in my vision did anyway. I didn't really take notice to all the other people running. So I would go with some areas that maybe I had been pulled to in the past, which would be first, the big rift that I felt would happen in the Indian Ocean. And it just so happens that the recent massive quake that happened in Myanmar is very close to the area that I pointed to and felt pulled to with this rift that would happen in the future. A rift is literally a rip right underneath the ocean. Huge. Probably will be heard all across the planet when it happens. I don't know if it's all happening this year, but it's just interesting that I pointed to that area. Myanmar is right there, and it just makes a lot of sense that those plates are having major movements. And that was like the biggest earthquake they had in like 100 years or something like that. And so I felt this rift, would happen there. There's also the first place that I was actually pulled to, going back in past visions and predictions, was the mid-Pacific and the South Pacific. And then Australia could also very well be one of the areas that's going to be hit with coming tsunamis as well. Spirit tells me that 3 will come unexpectedly. All at separate times, all hitting separate places. So 3 separately. I don't know what time period. The other, I believe, is going to be the Pacific, in the Pacific, as I said many times. That even goes back to some channeled predictions in late 2023. So I'm going to say the Pacific, close to Japan, Manila, and the Philippines, which I also felt will hit closer to the summer months like July. being the most likely month for one of these huge tsunami waves to be hitting multiple coastlines. Doesn't rule out the tsunami coming in the month of April. So some are going to be hitting much harder. So I see one that hits multiple coastlines, but it hits some coastlines harder than others, likely because of the distance. And of course, the coastline closest to the epicenter is going to be the one that would be hit the hardest. And that feels to me, again, out in the Pacific Ocean. July is the time where I would be pulled to that time period. Now, the coastline of Chile also jumped out in my mind this morning really strongly for extreme activity and extreme weather events in April and even in late August and September. The other mass exodus is related to events that will relate to a massive earthquake bigger than what they just had in Myanmar, just what they just endured. And I feel that this massive earthquake, like an 8.1 earthquake, that's massive, could hit two different places, Asia, likely China, and also Turkey. Now, Madagascar also jumped out at me, and I feel that Madagascar is going to endure some big shakings in the near future. And I see a vision of a city. This was pretty disturbing, actually. I saw a vision of a city completely leveled, and it reminded me of Turkey back in 2023 after their big earthquake. But this felt much worse to me. And I hear over 30,000. Not sure if that's 30,000 still missing, or 30,000 people that are presumed that their soul contracts maybe came to a close. But the number 30,000 kept coming to me. And the sad part of these coming large amounts of exiting and folks deciding to exit, it's already in their soul contracts, is sadly going to be due to, of course, some type of conflict event. Some type of conflict event, for example, this is just an example like a nuclear, somebody hits the button, or some type of fear attack. Sort of makes me feel very similar. I had this very strong similar feeling this morning of the whole September 2001 thing that happened here in New York City. Well, not here, I'm in Arizona, but, in New York, that whole attack. So knowing of these coming events and the potential large amounts of loss that may accompany these events, this should all really literally be a reminder for all of us that life is short. Life is very fragile. And it is really important to hold gratitude each and every day for our blessings every day. And always remind those folks around you that you care about, that you love them. For there could be a day in the future, perhaps even the near future, that you may end up regretting not doing so. As much as I would love to see, and I'm sure all the rest of you would, peace in our world, the ongoing conflicts are just they're not going to reside anytime in the near future. We have recently seen countries go back on their ceasefire agreements. Don't have to mention what countries they are. And we just had Iran refuse nuclear peace talks with the United States. Why would they refuse peace talks? We see civil conflicts happening all over the place, like in Myanmar. Did you know that there was civil conflict in Myanmar? I had no clue until the earthquake hit and they told us. But that's happening in lots of places that they're not telling us. Lots of civil tensions and civil unrest happening all over the globe. And tensions are only going to rise more, unfortunately. Sure, perhaps the latter part of 2025, yeah, sure, we will likely see peace come from this chaos. But for now, and in the month of April, the conflicts are going to keep flaring up even more. And I have a vision of a plane being taken down by someone using some type of weapon from the ground. One of those things they hold, and I forget what they're called. It's like a little missile launcher. That's what they were using from the ground, like a little rocket launcher. And I believe I may have been somewhere in the Middle East, although I would not be surprised that maybe I could have even been in the Ukraine, or there could even be two separate events like this. And I wasn't clear on the type of plane either. My feelings was that, sadly, it was a passenger plane. And they'll say it was accidental or come up with some excuse. And we're going to see ignition, unfortunately, of fear-related attacks as the year progresses. We're going to begin to see that likely by the end of April. And we're going to see the ignition of fear attacks and as they progress, especially during the window time starting in June through September. That window is really strong. And July, of course, has always felt to me since I did my forecast for the entire year. to be one of the most significant months of the year. And I feel the tensions in the Middle East are about to get really rough. Not that they aren't already. Especially when the less than smart decision comes in the near future to send some missiles piling down on parts of Iran. That's coming. And this, in turn, is going to ignite chaos. And likely it's going to bring about my feelings of a large strings of fear attacks, fear-related attacks taking place across the globe. I see some types of attack or takeover of a hotel. And by what looks to me like maybe a gang leaders. They all had masks on. So I'm not sure, but they took over some kind of hotel. I was in another country. I wasn't in the United States. I don't know where I was, but some other country. And I also get pulled to Somalia. And I feel like some type of conflict and perhaps missiles being dropped on Somalia in the near future. And any peace agreements made in the very near future, they're likely going to become broken agreements. That includes ceasefires, as we already seen. Ceasefire, a ceasefire, and then they're not ceasing fire. Same with peace agreements. So expect them to be temporary for now. And hopefully by the time we reach September and the end of the year, we'll see them actually become long-term peace agreements. We can only hope. I see some type of chaos and truths coming out of the justice system here in the United States and abroad, in places such as France and our friends in Australia down under. Many disturbing truths around justice systems and more likely the injustices served to the innocent. So we can likely see a lot of stories coming up in April and moving forward from April of judges, corrupt judges being indicted, maybe hopefully even corrupt judges, and not even just judges, law enforcement being arrested for corruption and all their other dirty deeds. That's something that's definitely coming out in these energies. And at the same time, I would expect controversy to arise around the Supreme Justices, the Supreme Courts, and the big, lawmakers and legislation pushers and what have you. I see in the United States, especially, people forming together in protests outside justices, likely being paid to be there. Wouldn't surprise me either, like many of the protesters around the country right now. As that truth will soon be revealed as well, by the way. Truth being revealed around these paid protesters and those that pay to make the chaos happen. That's always nice to see when the truth is revealed. That's another thing we're going to continue to see as time plays on. Truth, friends. Lots of truth. In the month of April, many leaders, many even CEOs and many others are in grave danger, especially the leaders here in the United States of America. And this one was really disturbing, and I know some aren't going to want to vibe with what I'm about to say, but I tell you everything that I feel and everything that Spirit gives me. And I had this strong feeling. Now, first of all, I never, ever had a good vibe for JD Vance. Never did. And if you remember back to the last time the same president was in administration, I told you that last vice president, Pence, was going to backstab Trump in the end. That he was a bad guy. And he ended up kind of being that way, didn't he now? Oh, I have the same feeling with Vance. And here's the bad feeling I got. That Vance, along with one of those three letters, and we'll use the numbers instead. So take the third letter of the alphabet, the ninth, and the first, and put them all together. That's the agency I'm talking about here. The same one that they say is responsible for the whole John F. Kennedy thing that happened back there in the 1960s. I had a vision of that same scenario playing out, like being planned between the vice president, the three letters, and working on taking out the leader. And that's basically the same feeling I got with JFK. The vice president at the time, who was it? I can't even remember. Was it Ford? Whoever it was in on it. 100%. Totally 100% in on it. Knew everything about it. Well, that's what I feel is going on here. And that would be bad. Because if you think the president's bad, Vance would be not good for this country. And at some point, he is going to step into power. It's going to be temporary. Vance will step into power. I had a vision a long time ago, back in 2016, that DT would serve 2 terms, and he would end up not serving the final of his second term. Now, I don't necessarily believe that'll be this year. I believe it'll be 2027, actually. But if there's a time more than ever that his life is in danger, it certainly is now. Not only him, and I've said this back in January in my forecasts. Also, I see Robert F. Kennedy. I see him having problems, Bobby Kennedy, because they don't want him in that place. And even Elon Musk. And I see attempts. I even see a vision now currently of somebody in a high up building pointing down towards the street. And they're waiting for Musk. They're waiting to shoot on Musk. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what city I'm in because this is so clear to me. Guy looks like he's in an apartment building, actually, which maybe is a hotel, but it looks like an apartment window building. He's high up. Interesting. So that's something we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of people being taken out in the month of April. Not saying that the president of the United States is going to be taken out, but I did have visions of him being hit like Ronald Reagan was in the right shoulder. Remember those visions? I still feel like that's going to happen. I have no doubt it's going to happen eventually. This would be on the streets when he's either coming from the vehicle to a building or from a building to a vehicle. Those visions, again, go into place at least a year ago that I had these visions. This vision that I just saw of somebody on the roof shooting down at Musk, that's a new one. Haven't seen that one before. And even Bobby Kennedy, definitely at risk. For some reason, I feel like he's at risk at his own home and property more than anywhere. That feels a little odd to me. So are they stalking his property and his home? I think he has a large property too. Hopefully he has enough security. But not only that, we're going to see leaders of Iran, attempt on Iran leaders, and even Putin, which they say there was just recently, they say, but we don't know because, Russia doesn't tell us anything. But there was a very high-end vehicle that's used to transport Putin and other high officials in Russia that just kind of went boom. Yeah, and whoever was inside ain't there anymore. And some speculate that thought that maybe Putin was in that vehicle. I feel that is probably very plausible. At the same time, I still feel they're going to continue to try to take him out. So don't be surprised if it ends up flipping the way and it ends up being that Zelensky's the one that ends up being taken out. Change of leadership when it comes to Iran as well. And I see some kind of controversial changes in leadership when it comes to the United Kingdom and England. So I don't know what's going on over there. And even in France. And then I also see a leader, this might be France, I'm not sure, a leader that's on stage speaking. And I hear shots fired, multiple shots. I see the person that's speaking, it's a man, go down, but I don't know if he gets back up again. Spirit gives me that vision now, so that's I don't know what country I'm in. It might even be in India, actually, as weird as that sounds. And if not, then I'm going to say there's going to be somebody taken out of power in India. Like, taken out. Like, pow or something taken out. So lots of changes, lots of shifts. And I even see an attempt on Bezos, Jeff Bezos, and somebody trying to get into one of his homes. Good luck with that. He's probably got his own special Alexa guarding that crap. And this brings another memory to my mind. In the past, Spirit told us that we would start to see global elite dropping like flies. And we did see that a couple of years ago, 2023. We saw it with Russian oligarchs and all these different oligarchs, all these different big high-end millionaires and billionaires passing. So I'm getting that again. So get ready for a string of wealthy, influential people beginning to drop like flies. And of course, some will look natural, but Spirit says they won't be natural. Use your own discretion. And then last thing I'm going to tell you, I see major truths coming out even more so when it comes to the whole creepy files with that they really didn't truly release of, Jeffrey and Sean, who I'm talking about. I'll just say their first names, right? And I see something else coming big out of Hollywood. I know I've been saying it for a while, but it's coming. Now, think about the 4-year that we were in 2020, and we're in that 4-month. And all the revelations that happened after, say, lockdowns as we flowed through the second half of the year. More truth came out. We saw stuff with the celebrities. We saw so much in late 2020. That's what we're going to see just in the month of April. So hold on tight. It's going to be an interesting, wild ride with lots of revelations and lots of changes in power and lots of changes in all of the global institutions around the world. The month of April is jam-packed with all kinds of energies, alignments, and lots of wonderful events that are going to take place, and maybe some not-so-wonderful events. If you want to continue feeding your prediction addiction, then make sure you join me on Tuesday's show, because especially the first Tuesday of every month, lots of new predictions for you. And if you're new here and you just, joined the tribe and you're now vibing with the tribe, welcome, friends, welcome. And I want to, again, a big thank you to the supporters who make this free content possible. Whether you're a member, a subscribe star, a member of this community, or a contributor to this channel, I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter. And don't forget, if you get a message on another social media platform that looks like me, it certainly isn't me. April is an amazing month to start putting in the bricks to your future vision. Hold that vision strongly, friends, and I guarantee you, you are already there in the future. I'm going to leave you with that, friends. Until the next time, remember, be bold, be true, be kind, be you, and let that light shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day and an amazing month of April. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.